One of the biggest talking points feminists have used for decades to victimize themselves is about the gender pay gap. Now, a wage gap definitely exists, but it's not because of misogyny or biasness against women. It's because of the choices they make and their work ethics. So, today we're going to be watching this video discussing this subject. So, let's not waste any more time and let's get right into it.
Let's talk about inequality since that's always the headline villain. We were told that if some people have more than others, that must be inherently wrong. That's what the authors of The Spirit Level, Kate Pickett and Richard Wilkinson, were talking about in their book. They were essentially saying that inequality is the root cause of all of the problems of modern society, ranging from murder to teenage pregnancy, and well, it seemed to have convinced a lot of people. But that framing is wrong from the start. Inequality is not a moral crisis. It tells us where things are happening, where demand is shifting, where people are solving problems. It reflects timing and talent and, yes, sometimes luck, but it's not failure. And the crazy idea that wealth can be distributed equally like slices of a cake is just completely wrong. And this
That's a
book, An
ridiculous
Insight
idea.
into Economic Inequality by Eamon Butler, describes it perfectly well. The link to the book for free should be in the description below. The question shouldn't be why do some people have more? It should be can anyone rise? Because if people can take risks, fall down and get back up again, that shows that the system is functioning perfectly well. If you agree with me and you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button and to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already so that you can help our community grow further. Here's a stat that never gets airtime. In the USA, over half of households in the bottom 20% move up within a decade. That's mobility. That's what actually matters. In the
That just indicates that there are opportunities that exist to those who go out to seek them. You cannot sit at home and expect to be given handouts and become rich from handouts. That's just not how life works. And even if it did work, it would not be fair because all the money, all the resources need to come from somewhere. So it's always going to be that group of people who are working their asses off, but then in the end of the day, they have to share the fruits of their labor with the people who are doing nothing. So that's why this idea of socialism and equal distribution of wealth is just not fair or even realistic.
UK, the top 1% pay nearly 30% of all income tax. The top 10% pay nearly 60% of all total tax revenue. So when people say they're not.
Yeah, exactly. Even in Canada, if you are amongst the top earners and you're in the top tax bracket, you're nearly paying 50% in taxes. So imagine if you're making $500,000 a year, you're damn near paying $250,000 a year in taxes. That's a lot.
Paying their fair share, I ask, what do you mean by fair? Now let's talk about the gender pay gap because this one gets weaponized constantly. You've heard the stat, a woman earns 80 pence for every £1 a man earns. But this number, it's completely raw data. It doesn't account for job type.
Oh, yeah, they don't account for anything. They just looked at the number and said, oh, women make slightly less than men, so that's misogyny. But but the same study also showed the reasons for this pay gap. And one of the biggest reason was the hours worked, the type of jobs done. Women in general usually choose to go with jobs that are more cushy jobs. They don't want to be out in the oil rigs or be welders or work labor and construction jobs or do any kind of other trades. And usually the trades are where most people make the most money. So if you're choosing the cushier, easier jobs and you're putting in less hours, then of course there's going to be a gender pay gap.
Hours worked, career breaks, it's like comparing apples and oranges. When you factor all of these different things in, the gap shrinks. In some cases, it disappears completely. For example, there was a study on young doctors. The men earned 41% more than their female counterparts. Sounds bad, right? But the men also worked 500 hours per year more. Once you account for
That's a
this, the
lot.
gap disappears completely. And when you compare never married women to never married men past childbearing age, women actually tend to earn more. So, what's really going on here? Women disproportionately choose flexibility, stability, and
Well, yeah, that's because men and women tend to derive purpose from different things. Women are generally more relationship oriented and family oriented. So when a woman reaches her mid 40s without a husband or a child, her biological window for building the family is pretty much gone at that point. So many women throw themselves into their careers and accomplishments because those become their primary remaining avenues for some type of fulfillment and validation. Whereas men, on the other hand, are often driven by responsibility. So a lot of men's ambitions comes from the desire to provide for a wife and children. When that purpose isn't there, many men don't see much reason to spend their lives chasing promotions or 80-hour work weeks. So instead, I think they just become content with earning enough to just support themselves and enjoying a more simpler and peaceful life.
giving roles. They 60-hour-a-week high-pressure roles. That's not oppression. That's a trade-off that these women are willingly making. And by
Exactly.
treating every single gap as some form of discrimination, we actually erase that autonomy. And what we're doing is infantilizing these women. Talking of women, which is partly what my episode 4 was about. My gosh, the debates in the comments section were quite something. I promise that I do read every single comment. So do let me know in the comment section below of this episode, do you think that the gender pay gap is real? Somebody asked me, if the gender pay gap was real, why do companies hire men? And I think it's actually a pretty fair question. But this obsession
Exactly. Like, what do you think companies and big corporations care about the most? Take a guess. It's money, right? So, if they have to pay women less, why would they not hire majority women? That would seem the smarter choice. If you have to pay employees less, you have more profits. So, that's kind of a no brainer.
with equality has led to the rise of socialism, and oh my gosh, it is everywhere. It's exploding from TikTok explainers to political manifestos, eat the rich, abolish landlords. It's got an aesthetic and it's gaining traction. In the UK, Jeremy Corbyn just launched a brand new socialist party along with Zara Sultana, promising mass redistribution of wealth and power and nationalising industries. It's got no name at the moment, but over 700,000 people signed up in the first week. Meanwhile, in New York, Zohran Mamdani just won the mayoral primary, running on a socialist platform with rent freezes and a city-owned grocery store and nationalising utilities. But here's the thing, just because something is
Yeah, let's see how that works out. Seems pretty unrealistic. I highly doubt this will go anywhere.
emotionally satisfying doesn't mean that it's economically sound. Socialism is rising not because it works, but because it feels like justice in a world where fairness can't even be defined. Or anything.
It's a fairy tale.
Nothing's got a definition anymore.
What is a woman?
I don't think it's like defined.
So why is socialism rising now? I guess it's because it's got a kind of story to it. You know, you have the villains.
But look at the countries that do have socialism, like North Korea, Russia. Like, these countries aren't thriving. So, can't we take their example? We have real life examples, so why can't we take their examples?
Who are the billionaires, and you have the heroes, which are the activists. Also, economic literacy is collapsing. Most people don't know how wealth is created. They think it's just handed out like monopoly money. So when they see inequality, they automatically assume that it's theft, not innovation. Also, my generation, we grew up post 2008. We saw the financial crisis lead to wages stagnating and housing become a joke. So yes, we're angry. But let me tell you that socialism is not the answer. Here's what no one tells you. Socialism.
And you know what else caused wage stagnation? Introducing women in the workforce. Back in the mid 1900s, a man could work as a shoe salesman and still be able to buy a house, have a car, and support his whole family on a single income. But as soon as feminism came in and introduced women to the workforce, that all of that is just a pipe dream now, even on two incomes.
Doesn't eliminate inequality. It just replaces economic inequality with political inequality. And the cost? Innovation dies, incentives vanish, growth flatlines. Let's talk about wealth taxes. They may sound noble, just a little slice from the rich, but in practice, they destroy investment. In a low-interest economy, just a 1% wealth tax can actually lead to a 100% tax on returns. And even if you seized all billionaire wealth globally, you'd only be able to give about
£1,280 per person.
Oh, damn.
That's the maths. Yes, capitalism creates inequality, but it also creates possibility. It gives people the tools to flourish, to build, to compete. The alternative? Equal misery.
And it's always the lazy, unemployed people who do not want to get a job or put any effort in their life. They just want to have handouts given to them. These are the kind of people who always complain about capitalism. Just because they themselves are not capable of putting in the work, start hating the people who are and who do. And the solution is fairly simple. It's not easy, but it is simple. And that is hard work. Put in the work. As long as you put in the work, you will get somewhere. Any person who works hard, they always go somewhere. They might not become rich, they might not become millionaires, but they will live a fulfilling life. They will have their basic needs met, and they could even live a decent life. So, I think we just have too many lazy people expecting handouts these days.
Control. Look at Venezuela, North Korea, Soviet Union, not exactly thriving.
Exactly.
So, yeah, maybe it's time that we rethink the whole narrative. Inequality isn't injustice. The pay gap isn't oppression. If we want real progress, we need real debate. If you've made it this far, you're not just a viewer, you are part of the debate. Make sure to drop your thoughts in the comment section below, to like this episode if you...
So yeah, this was a good video by Samiksha's State of the Debate channel. I'll have her link down in the description. And yep, that's it for this video. So let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Comment, like, and subscribe. And stay tuned for more content. I'll see you next time.